Hi, Amy. Welcome to Funnel Vision Podcast. Thrilled to have you on today to share your expertise and tips and advice with our community of sales professionals.
Thank you. It's so great to be here.
Good. So jumping right in, what do you say is the one game-changing tactic that helps you helps you build strong client relationships?
Yeah, I feel like getting into a discussion to kind of open my clients is what I would say is one of my game-changing tactics. So instead of selling to them, right? Which if this is a sales conversation, but instead of selling to them, is to really just open up and figure out through a dialogue and through a bunch of questions, where are they and where do they need help? Where are their biggest pain points? And how can I add value? And sometimes the value doesn't come directly from me. I just met a potential client earlier this week who, as we got into a conversation, realized he's not ready for EOS. He's not ready for a sales engagement, but I do have some other resources that I can help him with and have been able to align him there, which I think is one of my game-changing tactics, to be totally honest with you.
Yeah, I absolutely love that because you're right. Like sometimes once you learn and you talk to a potential client or just having a conversation, yes, it might not be about selling. You don't need to sell to somebody if
Yeah.
you're not solving their pain point. So like what you just said, like learning, listening, understanding, and then being a person in that has a community, that has a network, and then you can provide them an introduction to maybe somebody that doesn't help them. We do that all the time here. Like there's certain, companies that we talk with that may not be a good fit for Talent Harbor based on, some reason or another, but I'm happy to introduce them to somebody else that can help them or help them get ready to be ready to hire,
That's right.
and things like that.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
for
yeah.
sure. Yeah.
So what is the best piece of sales advice that you've received and how has that changed your approach over time?
Um, I'm not going to think about it from a sales advice perspective. I'm going to think about it from a life perspective, right? Because you have to bring your authentic self to every single thing you do without it necessarily being, in the perspective of 100% of sales. And so I would say just really connecting and tuning in with with people in general, right? Asking, getting to know them a little bit better, staying 100% present when you're with them, and really allowing that conversation to open. So sometimes I feel like when we ask questions in a certain way or we make a statement, we kind of close conversations as opposed to opening them, right? Because we're looking for a client to change in some regards, right? When we have our sales hat on, we're trying to convince somebody maybe that they need us or they need to change something, which is why we want to come into their life. So thinking about that from a different perspective, which is how can I continue to keep this conversation open and let it be more of a discovery?
Hmm. And is that, do you do that by asking open-ended questions, like asking different types of questions or just, probing? Is that how you keep that as an open discussion and
Y-
continue to learn?
Yeah, I love open-ended questions.
Yeah, it's exactly. You can ask a yes or no, and you get the answer, but you don't get further in understanding. So that does make a lot of sense and is definitely a great advice for sure.
Yeah, yeah.
And what are your thoughts on AI right now? Like AI in sales, but just in business in general and in all of life, really, has just been, so prevalent. And are there, kind of things that you think AI is going to be useful for, and how is it going to shake up the sales and business world?
Yeah. So we're using AI in our company right now and kind of more from an automation standpoint. So, trying to make my back office a lot more efficient using automation. So we've been exploring with that and really enjoying it. But from a lead gen perspective, I see AI coming into play where you can gain more insight into what's going on with your market share. So I think that's going to shake things up a lot for the better, right? People again can look at AI and think, oh, we're losing all of our personalization. But what if I used AI to learn more about the market, my target market client, right? If I'm speaking EOS language, right? We all have a target market that we are looking for and going after and spending our resources to attract. If I got to learn more about that market more efficiently, I know how to better serve them. And so I think that that is a great advantage to AI, particularly in sales and in business in general. The other thing is, I read a book not too long ago about use AI to help you ask better questions. Instead of using AI, hey, write this email for me, or, do this sequence for me, or whatever. What if I took a subject and said, what if I wanted to learn more, take a deeper dive in this, what are some really great probing questions to ask? And so that's another great way that we're using AI in our company.
Yeah, I think that all is the best. What you're doing is, the best uses of AI for sure. Like you said, automation and having AI do a lot of that research and,
Yeah.
and helping you with insights is great, but it doesn't take away that human touch and that human element of relationship building. You can't build relationships using AI. You can get more
Right.
information to have better conversations and solve problems, but it's still a very much relationship driven human to human type of thing that AI cannot do for us.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. So, how are you using AI in your organization?
Yeah, so pretty similar to what you said. We're using it for a lot of automation, kind of helping the our back office and things like that. Within recruiting, we use AI for getting the understanding and the research on our clients, our clients' competitors, for contact information, for potential candidates and companies, and all of those things that it can automate in the background. But same, all of our conversations, all of our interviews are very, are all human to human. We're not using
Yeah.
AI. There's some like technology for, recruiting and doing interviews where it's bots instead of humans. Like, we're not into that. Like, I don't
Yeah.
think that's a good use of it. But for, interviewing and all that, we're still all human to human relationship building and conversations, but
Yeah.
great for helping with research, helping with comparing candidates that are on the market, compare this person to this person as far as experience and all that.
Yeah. I love it.
Yeah. So what's one thing that you think a salesperson should stop doing to become more successful?
Yeah. Stop being very transactional. I mean, tagging along with what you just said, I think the more that we're on Zoom together, right, and we're not actually belly to belly with people in a room, the more that we are using AI and we become a little more disconnected, the more social media is in our life and we become a little bit more disconnected, it deepens the need to really have that human connection and to stop being so transactional. So if I could give one piece of advice, develop really solid relationships and forget about it just being on a transaction by transaction kind of basis. And that's one of the reasons that I love the work that I do, is because I get into companies and help them deeply, right? I mean, we go beyond the surface, right? We're not 2 inches deep. We're going really deep, and then we start to widen out. And it's just a fabulous career that I have, and I feel pretty blessed about it.
Yeah, you should. You should, because it's so important and you really are helping companies every day, better themselves. And so that's just fabulous. So yeah. And moving to, about like recruiting and especially recruiting and finding great sales talent, do you have any like go-to strategies for spotting or finding really great top-notch salespeople?
So I'm a firm believer in core values fit. not just as an EOS implementer. I mean, I'm not just raising the flag of that, because I'm also an outgrow advisor, which is in the sales realm. And I also help people in the exit planning world. And so all of those things really, the core values of people that you bring on a team need to align with the company core values in order for them to be a really good fit.
I could not agree more. As far as core values, like yes, you certain people need, when you're hiring for a role, the person has to have the skills and experience and all of those things. But if they are not a core values match, no matter how great their prior experience,
That's right.
it doesn't matter. They will not, fit into the organization. They're not going to take you where you want to go. And it is so important. It's part of, for Talent Harbor, it's part of what we do every day. Every person that we interview, and we are at talking about core values, we're talking about our clients' core values with the candidates to make sure that there is alignment. And it's one of the most important things that we do is including that in our interview process, because I highly agree that if the person can be great, but if there's not a core values match, if they're just not a culture fit for the organization, it doesn't really matter how great their past experience is.
Yeah. And you can teach a lot of skills, right? But you can't teach core values. Like it really is. It comes from the heart. It comes from within. And so the great thing is that there's another company that will match their core values. So that's awesome.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
And I say core values, it's not good or bad. Like
Right.
every person and every company has different core values. It's not like good or bad, but it has to be aligned. It has to be,
Yes.
there has to be a match there and synergy. So absolutely agree. Yeah. So Amy, tell us a little bit about you, your background, what you do and where people can find you.
Yeah. So I co-founded a construction company and had the opportunity to scale that. And after 22 years, had a sale of that company. And so then bought a fly fishing resort in Montana. And I think conversation Ryan and I had was all about that fly fishing resort in Montana and how fun that was. But turned that company around and then had a sale of that 9 years later too. So I share all that just to share that I've got this great entrepreneurial spirit and business background and know what it looks like to grow and scale companies. So I've been boots on the ground and haven't figured everything out, right? We're always continuing to learn, which is a great thing, but definitely have enough of those skills in my back pocket to help companies. And so today I use that skill set to help grow high value businesses. And I do that using EOS, using outgrow sales advising to help grow the top line revenue, and really wrap all that up with a perspective of let's make sure that we're building this high value company so that when you go to transition out of it or have some sort of a succession plan out of that company, it's worth what you want it to be, which really ends up giving the owner of that company the freedom that they deserve. Oftentimes, as we're building these companies, we realize we became an entrepreneur to gain all this freedom, and then we're in the trenches and we've lost it. And so, I work with business owners to give them that freedom back. And it's not just freedom of time, it's financial freedom in their business too. So people can
Wonderful. And
find,
yeah,
oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was saying, tell us where can people find you?
Yeah, so I'm on LinkedIn. I post regularly on LinkedIn, lots of articles, lots of help first articles, but probably the best place to connect with me is on LinkedIn, or email amy.morin@eosworldwide.com or amy@thrivecoaching.com.
Perfect. Well, Amy, thank you so much for being on the show today. Appreciate it and look forward to working with you in the future.
Oh, same here. Thank you so much. I've appreciated our time together.